Welcome back to Let's Chat Interval's weekly series where we break down the marketing moments that matter. This week, we're going full cape. From Krypton to Comic-Con, we're diving into what Superman and the fandom around him can teach us about brand storytelling, community, and experiential marketing in the age of blockbuster culture. When you think about truly iconic brands, maybe Superman isn't the first corporate name that jumps out, but he absolutely should be. We're talking about a cultural touchstone here with nearly a century of brand equity. Think about that, 90 years. Staying relevant that long. He's sort of journeyed with us, hasn't he? From the early comics to radio, then the big screen, and now he's all over Reddit, TikTok, you name it. It really does mirror the whole evolution of media itself. It's like a living case study in adapting your message, your presence, to wherever your audience actually is.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating, I think, is how Superman perfectly embodies this idea of narrative elasticity. His origin story, right? The core of who he is. It's been reimagined, retold, dozens of times over the years. But, and this is the key part, the emotional truth, the hope, truth, justice stuff that stays constant. It's like the anchor.
Right. That core never really wavers.
Exactly. And that allows him to feel evergreen. So the takeaway for marketers, the big question is, are you building a franchise or just, a fad? Because the iconic stories, they don't just sit there. They have to stretch. They have to adapt to fit new platforms, new audiences, new cultural moments. That's the trick, isn't it? Knowing how far to stretch without snapping that core identity.
That really leads us right into our first big insight. Experiential immersion before, during, and after the show. Because for these huge pop culture brands like with Superman, the summer movie season, it's not just a release date, it's basically their Super Bowl, right? These characters, they become these narrative tent poles, these big planned events designed to get everyone emotionally invested talking.
And what's changed, I think, is that modern marketing isn't just about, pushing content at people anymore. It's much more about staging experience, creating these immersive activations that feel less like an ad and more like a cultural event you just have to be part of.
And the new Superman release, a total masterclass in this. Some really concrete examples here. Think about the before. Way before the US release, they did this global Superman world tour. They screened the first 30 minutes in Barcelona, then Manila, rolling out in 7 cities before the US premiere on July 11th. It wasn't just a trailer drop, it was like this exclusive, curated sneak peek, building buzz, making it feel like a global thing.
Exactly. And then the during phase was just as impactful, maybe even more so, because it was so physical and unexpected.
Right.
Imagine waking up in London on July 1st, and there's an 11-foot Superman statue hanging inside the shark.
Right. Just incredible.
It's not an ad, it's this huge disruption, an instant shareable moment. And then they tied that spectacle into Q&A events with James Gunn. It became a real happening.
And they didn't just stop there. Even after the big splash, they kept it going. Pop-up newspaper stands stuck around through July, for photo ops, fan stories, for social media. Plus, they're already teasing what's next at Comic-Con 2025, so the conversation keeps rolling.
And if you connect the dots strategically, this kind of phased rollout, it's brilliant. It turns release day into release season. You front-load the buzz, deliver that big payoff at launch, and then crucially, you sustain the engagement afterwards. Multiple touch points keeps people connected.
Makes sense.
And this idea, it goes way beyond movies. That's the big takeaway for you listening.
Yeah.
Think about your own product launches, your sales events, even holidays. How can you build that anticipation beforehand, create buzz during, and make sure those moments really convert deep in that relationship? It takes planning, for sure, understanding all the touch points, but the payoff and sustained engagement, huge.
That idea of extending the hype, making it last, that brings us right to insight number 2. Collaboration is the new marketing. Co-marketing meets procreation. Because Superman's impact, it isn't just the studio's budget at work, right? It's massively amplified by smart partnerships and, maybe even more crucial, by working with the fans.
Totally. And some of the co-marketing examples are really smart for multiplying reach.
Yeah.
Like Fandango and Amazon Prime doing those advanced screenings on July 8th.
Yeah.
Led to Fandango's best first-day presale of 2025. That's serious amplification, right? Using existing platforms. Then you've got brands like Funko, McFarlane Toys, putting out collectibles tied to the movie. That bridges entertainment and retail, gives fans something tangible.
But then there's the fan-driven co-creation side, and that seems like where you build the really deep long-term loyalty. Turning people into advocates. Gen Z, Gen Alpha, they don't just want you to tell them who Superman is or who your brand is. They want to remix him on TikTok, debate him on Discord, cosplay him on Twitch. They want to be part of the story. And the data really backs this up. That 2024 GWI report, found that 61% of Gen Z trust brands more if they get invited to co-create.
61%, that's huge.
Yeah. Voting on campaigns, submitting content, that participation fuels affinity. It changes the whole dynamic.
So the question for brands is, how are you inviting your audience to co-create? Because the best campaigns today, they don't just tell stories, they invite collaboration. It's fundamental. Superman's most enduring power. Maybe it's his ability to co-own culture with fans and partners. That's real shared equity.
And speaking of equity, based on something deeper, that flows right into our third insight. Cause-driven purpose. Aligning Superman's values with impact. Because today, real fandom, authentic fandom, it isn't shallow, is it? It thrives on meaning. That's why this angle is so powerful.
Exactly. We know what over 51% of Gen Z say they have to support socially responsible brands. They're looking for brands that stand for something more than just profit. And Superman, I mean, his core is hope, justice, truth. So when the brand activates around social impact, it feels right. It feels authentic because it is authentic to the character.
And we saw some really great kind of heartwarming examples with the new film, like Puppy Bowl back in February.
Oh, yeah.
James Gunn and his own rescue dog, Ozu, they introduced Superman teaser, crowned a crypto super play pup, directly linking the movie hype to pet adoption awareness. Over 120 shelter dogs featured.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. A perfect blend, right? Entertainment, engagement, social good. And then, after launch, some cinemas had booths supporting youth journalism, which is such a direct nod to Clark Kent, the Daily Planet. That commitment to truth reinforces the narrative, makes an impact.
And these aren't just feel-good things. They're strategic. They're shareable. When you tie activations to a genuine purpose like volunteer booths or merch benefiting a cause, Q&As on representation, you build a much deeper connection. Now, the risk is always looking inauthentic, purpose washing. But for Superman, it's such a natural fit. Just reinforces the brand's core values.
Which brings us nicely to our fourth and final insight, Comic-Con, the new town square for brand belonging. Because Comic-Con, it's way beyond just a fan convention now. It's this massive force in experiential marketing, where fandom and community just fuse together into this powerful engine.
Yeah, and if you look at the data on live events, it really shows why this is so critical, especially for reaching younger folks. That Freeman 2025 Gen Z report said 69% of Gen Z feel live events improve their connections, personal and professional, versus, feeling isolated online.
69%, that's a big number.
It is. These events are like an antidote to digital fatigue. Tangible, shared experiences.
Makes sense.
And remember, Gen Z controls what, $450 billion in U.S. spending? And they're set to outspend boomers globally in like 5 years. Reaching them through these live events, not optional, it's strategic.
And for the fans, these events, they're like pilgrimages, aren't they? A chance to connect with something they love with other people who get it. That creates this incredible emotional capital. People will literally line up for hours, overnight sometimes, just to feel part of it. You can't just buy that kind of commitment.
No, you earn it.
You earn it, exactly. And Superman is always there at Comic-Con, leveraging that capital brilliantly. This year, they're apparently going big on nostalgia. Yeah, like a 1940s-themed DC booth celebrating the early days. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, transporting people back, creating those unique photo moments. And DC confirmed panels looking at the past, present, future of the characters, keeping everyone engaged.
And the merch, of course.
Oh yeah, exclusive merch, special reprint of Action Comics, even a Superman comic with Milkbone apparently. It's all about those tangible, you had to be there experiences.
So the takeaway here is pretty clear. Live event marketing, it's its own beast. From the build-up, the buzz beforehand, to the spectacle on site, the stakes are high. And maybe just as important is the follow-through. What you do after the event to keep that connection going. It's a whole cycle. Needs personalized engagement to really make that hype stick.
Which is exactly why brands like SeatGeek are just nailing it here. They really get that turning event excitement into lasting engagement. Needs that seamless, personalized communication all the way through. That's the kind of thing they achieved using Iterable, leading to, get this, an impressive 41% revenue lift. So if you want the blueprint on how they turned that live event hype into real lasting engagement, definitely check out the article we've linked in the description for this episode. It's worth a read. Superman may be from another planet, but the way his story has been marketed over the decades is a very Earth-based playbook for brand relevance. Make your message adaptable, turn moments into experiences, and above all, invite your audience to wear the cape, not just watch it. Next week, we're keeping the pop culture lens on with a deep dive into how influencers are shaping the next wave of marketing for luxury retailers. See you then. Same time, same chat.